I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with how our apartheid policies in South Africa had excluded the majority of its citizens. In fact, the anomaly that we have in our economy at the moment is that even though black people constitute about 90% of the population in South Africa, you only find that they only have about 5% of the wealth of the South African economy. So what the South African government has decided to do, I mean, it's an untenable situation if you actually look at it. So what they decided to do as early as 2002 was to actually come up with empowerment policies that actually seek to integrate black people into the mainstream of the economy. And alongside those policies, they then decided to establish the National Empowerment Fund. We are like a private equity fund, or we operate more or less along the same lines as the private equity funders. Plus also we view ourselves as a venture capital a funder in South Africa. And currently we have about 5.6 billion rands under management. So obviously, as part of our strategy to integrate and implement or become a facilitator of the implementation of broad-based black economic empowerment policies in the country, we also decided that we needed to focus, put a lot of emphasis on the creation and development of new projects that would actually add value towards our economy, and projects that would also create jobs in South Africa. But whilst doing that, we had to actually align our investment strategies with some of the macroeconomic policies of our government. So if I may, Program Director, just give you a highlight of some of the projects that
Great, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, that we're looking at. Obviously, as per our new growth path in South Africa, we've realized that metals beneficiation, which includes capital goods sector, is amongst the key priority sectors which have been identified as the South African government. I'm sure you are aware that South Africa is well endowed with most of these mineral resources. But what has been happening in the past was that we'll actually dig the minerals out of the ground and then ship them out of the country without necessarily adding any value to those products. So for instance, I'm sure you are also aware that South Africa is the world's second largest producer of titanium slag, but manufactures no titanium metal or titanium components at the moment. And as you may be aware, Program Director, titanium as a rare metal is difficult and very expensive to produce, but faces very strong demand growth that is globally now, and is used mainly in high-tech industries like your aerospace industries and the automotive sector. So what the National Empowerment Fund has done in this regard was to conceptualize a project that we refer to as the Rare Earth Mineral Project, which involves the establishment of the world's first integrated beneficiation complex of rare earth and light metals, namely titanium, zirconium, silicon, and magnesium minerals. The RMI, we refer to the project as the RMI project, and the total investment that we're looking at here is going to be equivalent to about 15 billion rands, which is more or less about 2.1 billion US dollars. So in this particular project, I think we have now reached what we call the bankable feasibility stage of the project, and we're in the process of, we do have some technical partners who are strategic technical partners who will be coming from all over the world. So we're saying to the potential investors who would have an appetite for this kind of an investment that they should actually come and partner with the National
Empowerment. How do they do that? What's the easiest way to talk to your?
Yes, to talk to me. In fact, I work with quite a number of engineers. Some of them are here. Mr. Mulepo Slakalane, who is a chemical engineer, has been very, very involved in the project. And then I have Mwemise, if they can just raise their hands. So my colleagues are here to provide all of the technical details that will come along with an investment of this nature. So this is just a highlight. So we're moving towards the beneficiation of minerals. There are a number of other projects that we are currently involved in.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.